Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every life when we hear a voice that whispers, not today, not now, maybe later. That voice is the echo of excuses, sneaky and persistent, trying to hold us back from the greatness that already lives within us. But let me tell you something, your strength is louder than that whisper. Your courage, your will, and your spirit have the power to rise above every hesitation, every fear, and every reason you think you can't. Today, we will explore not just how to silence those excuses, but how to become stronger than them, how to stand tall even when the world whispers you can't, and how to finally say with unwavering certainty, I will. Excuses are nothing more than whispers of fear, delicate shadows that tiptoe across the edges of our hearts, trying to convince us that we are smaller than we truly are. They are sly and persistent, wearing the mask of reason and logic, but underneath, they are born from doubt. Every time we say, I can't or I don't have enough, we are giving these shadows the power to grow. And yet we must remember that fear has no true strength. It is the courage in us that determines the shape of our lives. Each whisper of an excuse is an invitation to rise, to look it square in the eyes and say, I am greater than you. When we allow excuses to take root, we plant seeds of limitation in our own minds. We tell ourselves stories about what is impossible, what is too hard, or what is beyond our reach. But let me remind you, the human spirit is not meant to be confined by stories we did not write. Our potential is vast, waiting for the moment we decide to stand tall and step into it. Fear will always attempt to cage us, but it is in those moments when the excuses try to chain our ambition that we discover the truth of our own strength. We have been given a resilience that whispers back to the shadows, you cannot stop me, for I am made to rise. Every excuse carries with it a quiet voice, tempting us to linger in comfort, to delay our greatness, to hide behind reasons that sound acceptable. And yet, growth never lives in comfort. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to move forward despite it. When you feel the pull of an excuse, recognize it for what it is. Fear dressed in disguise. Acknowledge it, but do not obey it. Step beyond it, and you will find that the light you were seeking has always been inside you, waiting for the moment you refuse to give in to hesitation. It is in the smallest acts of defiance against our excuses that our strength is forged. Choosing to try when it is easier to quit, speaking your truth when silence feels safer, showing up for yourself even when the world doubts you. These are the moments that build an unshakable spirit. Each time you rise above an excuse, you send a signal to your soul that you will not be held back by fear, that you are capable of more than you have been told. And as you continue to confront these whispers, you begin to see that excuses have no true power. They are like shadows at sunset, long trying to reach you, but always fading before the light of your own resolve. So, remember this, excuses are not walls, they are whispers, and whispers, no matter how persistent, can be drowned out by the roar of a determined heart. Every time fear tries to speak, answer with courage. Every time doubt tries to linger, answer with action. The journey to strength begins not when excuses disappear, but when you choose to rise above them, to walk forward even when the voice says, stop, and to declare with all the power you possess, I will not be held back. I am stronger than my excuses. We all carry stories, some we whisper with pride, and others we bury deep within, hoping they will never see the light of day. These stories shape us, yes, but they do not define the limits of who we can become. To own your story is not to be chained to it. It is to accept every triumph, every heartbreak, every mistake, and every lesson as pieces of the mosaic that is you. Your past may be heavy, but it is also full of wisdom. It is a teacher that shows you what it means to survive, to endure, and to rise again. The moment you stop hiding from your own history and instead greet it with honesty, you reclaim your power and open the door to a future of your own design. Too often, we allow our past to whisper lies into our present, convincing us that we are limited, broken, or undeserving. We replay moments of failure as if they are prophecy, letting regret color every decision we make. But the truth is that the past only has the power we give it. You may have stumbled, you may have been hurt, you may have felt lost, but none of these moments define the horizon of your tomorrow. Each day is a new page, and the pen rests in your hand. To own your story is to understand that you are both the author and the hero of your life, capable of rewriting the narrative at any moment, in any circumstance. There is a courage that comes with embracing your history fully. It is the courage to acknowledge the pain without letting it consume you, the courage to forgive yourself for choices made under the weight of ignorance, and the courage to recognize that your experiences, however difficult, are the building blocks of resilience. When you embrace your story, you begin to see the threads that connect every struggle to your strength, every sorrow to your empathy, every failure to your growth. You realize that the very experiences you once wished away have become the foundation upon which your greatness is built. Owning your story also means refusing to allow fear of judgment or shame to dictate your future. The opinions of others, the expectations that never fit, and the comparisons that never favor you, all of these are distractions that keep you from stepping fully into your own life. By accepting your past without apology and refusing to let it chart the course of your future, you break free from the invisible chains that have held you back. You claim the right to dream boldly, to act decisively, and to live authentically. You become a living testament that the past is not a prison, but a teacher, and the future is a canvas waiting for the brushstrokes of your courage. So, carry your story with dignity, not as a burden, but as a banner of survival, resilience, and hope. Speak it if you must, write it if you will, but above all, live it as proof that no chapter of your past can diminish the brilliance of what is yet to come. Your past is real, but it is not ultimate. The power to rise, to shine, and to become who you were always meant to be is yours. Own your story, embrace it fully, and then, with unwavering resolve, step boldly into the life you are destined to create. Every moment of our lives is filled with choices, some so small we hardly notice them, others so profound they seem to shape the very essence of who we are. Strength does not arrive fully formed, like a sudden storm that sweeps over the landscape. It is born quietly, in the spaces between decisions, in the courage to choose what is right over what is easy, in the willingness to rise even when the body is weary and the heart is heavy. Each choice, no matter how trivial it may appear, carries within it the power to build the resilient self we seek. To live without intentional choices is to drift upon the currents of circumstance, but to choose consciously is to take the helm of our own lives, steering toward growth, courage, and freedom. The beauty of choice is that it belongs to no one but you. No one can make the decision to rise from failure, to speak your truth, or to pursue your dreams with unwavering dedication. That power rests entirely in your hands. It is easy to blame the world, to blame the people who have hurt us, or the circumstances that have weighed us down. But strength does not come from avoiding struggle. It comes from choosing, again and again, to move forward despite it. Every choice to act with integrity, to persevere, and to embrace responsibility shapes the muscles of your character, making you stronger than any obstacle that dares to stand in your path. Often, we underestimate the cumulative effect of small choices. Choosing to wake up each morning with determination rather than defeat. Choosing to speak words of encouragement instead of despair. Choosing to face discomfort rather than retreat. These are not grand gestures, yet they are the quiet architects of fortitude. Strength is not always a thunderous display. It is the consistent, repeated act of choosing to do what needs to be done, even when no one is watching. And with each decision, you affirm to yourself that you are capable, that you are resilient, that you are not bound by circumstance, but liberated by your own resolve. Setbacks often arrive dressed in disguise. They feel like endings, like proof that we are not enough, like signals to stop dreaming. But if we look closely, we will see that each obstacle carries within it a lesson, a chance to learn, and a spark that can ignite our inner fire. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stagnant is not the absence of hardship. It is the choice to see adversity not as a barrier, but as a stepping stone. Every failure teaches us something invaluable: patience, perseverance, humility, and the unwavering truth that strength is built, not given. Turning setbacks into fuel requires a shift in perspective. Instead of asking, "Why me?" we can ask, "What can I learn?" Instead of lamenting the closed doors, we can search for the doors that are waiting to open. Obstacles become opportunities when we allow them to sharpen our focus, ignite our determination, and remind us of our own potential. Each time we confront a setback with courage, we add another layer to the foundation of our strength. The road may be rough, but every step forward is proof that we are capable of rising above the challenges that life places before us. It is natural to feel pain, frustration, or doubt when we stumble. To feel is not weakness, it is humanity. But to let those feelings define us is to surrender the power we already hold. Strength is found in the act of standing up after falling, in the decision to try again when every part of us wants to quit. Every obstacle becomes fuel when we refuse to see it as a wall and instead see it as a ladder, a way to climb higher, to reach further, to shine brighter. What once threatened to stop us now becomes the very thing that propels us forward, reminding us that resilience is not born in ease, but in endurance. So, when life throws its heaviest blows, remember that setbacks are not punishments. They are teachers. They are opportunities to gather our courage, sharpen our focus, and prove to ourselves that we are stronger than any moment of failure. Every challenge carries the potential to fuel our dreams, to strengthen our resolve, and to remind us that the fire within cannot be extinguished by circumstance. Rise each time you fall, embrace the lessons in the struggle, and allow the obstacles to push you higher. Your setbacks are not the end. They are the fuel that lights the way to your greatest triumphs. Our minds are landscapes of infinite possibility, capable of lifting us to unimaginable heights or keeping us trapped in shadows of doubt. Every thought that crosses the threshold of our awareness carries weight, shaping our emotions, our actions, and ultimately the course of our lives. The truth is that our external world often mirrors our internal one. If we allow negativity, fear, or self-doubt to take residence in our minds, they will ripple outward, influencing every decision and every step we take. But if we cultivate thoughts of courage, strength, and possibility, we create a force that can transform obstacles into opportunities and weakness into power. The first step in mastering the mind is recognizing the authority of our own thoughts. Too often, we let fleeting doubts dictate our choices, whispering lies like, "You can't," or "It's too hard." These thoughts are not reality. They are chains we allow ourselves to wear. Challenge them, question them, ask whether they are rooted in truth or simply in fear. Every time we confront a limiting belief, we weaken its grip and reclaim a piece of the power that has always been ours. The mind, once disciplined, becomes a sanctuary of strength, a place where resilience is nurtured and courage is born. Thoughts are not passive. They are active forces that shape the very way we experience the world. To think fearfully is to invite limitation, but to think boldly is to summon strength. When challenges arise, it is our inner dialogue that determines whether we crumble or rise. A single thought, "I can do this," whispered in the quiet moments of doubt, has the power to shift the trajectory of our day, our actions, and even our destiny. The mind is both battlefield and sanctuary, and it is here, in the arena of thought, that strength is forged. We must learn to wield our thoughts with intention, as tools that build, inspire, and empower, rather than as weapons that tear us down. The practice of challenging thoughts requires vigilance and compassion. It is not enough to simply will away fear or doubt. We must actively replace them with affirmations of our worth, our capability, and our potential. When negativity creeps in, we answer it with clarity and purpose. When self-doubt tries to anchor us, we rise with conviction. The mind, once trained in this way, becomes an ally, a partner in the pursuit of our dreams. It whispers encouragement when the world falls silent, offers clarity when confusion clouds our path, and strengthens our resolve when we are tempted to surrender. Ultimately, mind over matter is the recognition that our greatest power lies within. The world may try to sway us with its storms, distractions, and challenges, but the fortress of the mind is impenetrable to those who have learned to command it. Every thought, every decision, every act of intentional focus builds a life of resilience, courage, and triumph. When we master our thoughts, we master ourselves. We discover that no fear is too great, no obstacle too formidable, and no challenge insurmountable. The mind, once tamed and trained, becomes the engine of our strength, and with it we rise, unstoppable, into the life we are destined to create. Too often we wait for the grand triumphs, the monumental moments, the applause of the world before we allow ourselves to feel proud. We overlook the quiet victories, the small acts of courage that ripple through our lives and shape who we are becoming. But it is precisely in these moments, when we choose honesty over fear, perseverance over surrender, or kindness over bitterness, that true strength is born. Each small victory is a brick in the foundation of our resilience, a gentle reminder that progress is not always loud or visible, yet it is always powerful. Strength does not demand fanfare. It grows in the shadows, patiently, insistently, like a tree reaching for the sun. Recognizing these victories requires a shift in perspective. The world tells us to look only for dramatic transformations, monumental achievements, and spectacular results. But life is lived in the small, consistent acts that accumulate over time. Choosing to get up when the weight of the day presses down on you, deciding to speak your truth when silence would be easier, moving forward when doubt whispers that you should stop, these moments are victories, quiet and profound. They are proof that courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it, and that strength is not a sudden gift, but a habit cultivated day by day. Celebrating small victories is also an act of self-compassion. When we honor our incremental progress, we remind ourselves that we are human, that we are trying, and that we are worthy of recognition even when the journey feels long and difficult. Each acknowledgement of growth, no matter how minor it may seem, fuels the spirit and strengthens the heart. It is in these acknowledgments that we find motivation to continue, resilience to endure, and hope to persist. Every small step forward is evidence that we are moving toward the life we desire, even if the destination still feels distant. Consistency, not intensity, is the quiet magic behind these victories. Strength grows not in a single heroic act, but in the accumulation of small, intentional choices repeated day after day. Choosing to forgive, to learn, to show up for ourselves, and to stay committed to our goals, even when motivation falters, is what builds an unshakable spirit. The victories we often dismiss as insignificant are the very ones that sustain us through hardship, prepare us for greater challenges, and remind us of our enduring capacity to overcome. So, do not underestimate the power of small victories. Celebrate them, savor them, and let them nourish your soul. Allow each moment of courage, each decision to persevere, to remind you that strength is not always visible, but it is always growing. The life you are building step by step, choice by choice, act by act, is a testament to your resilience. Honor it, trust it, and as you continue to recognize the quiet triumphs in your journey, you will find that your strength has grown beyond measure, rooted in consistency, nurtured by courage, and blossoming into the extraordinary life you are destined to live. Courage is not a solitary act. It begins in the quiet chambers of your own heart, a decision to stand, to rise, to move forward when every instinct tempts you to retreat. Yet its influence does not end there. Every time you confront your excuses, every time you choose action over hesitation, you send ripples outward, touching lives you may never even see. Courage is contagious because it shows others what is possible, because it speaks without words, and because it reminds the world that fear is not a barrier, but a challenge to be met. When you rise above your own limitations, you unknowingly ignite the spark of bravery in those around you. It is easy to underestimate the power of our choices, to think that the battles we fight in private have no effect beyond ourselves. But strength, courage, and resilience are like light. Once ignited, they cannot help but illuminate the space around them. When someone sees you confront your fears, refuse your excuses, and step boldly into the unknown, it stirs something within them. They are reminded that their own hesitation does not have to define them, that their dreams are valid, and that they too can rise above what has held them back. Courage inspires because it proves that action is possible, even when the weight of doubt presses heavily on the soul. Rising above excuses is not always glamorous. There are no applause signs or grand stages in everyday courage. Often it is the silent victories, the choice to speak your truth, the decision to continue when giving up seems easier, the refusal to allow fear to dictate your path that leave the most profound marks. And it is precisely these acts that resonate with others. When people witness your persistence, your refusal to be paralyzed by doubt, they feel permission to do the same in their own lives. Your courage becomes a beacon, a quiet demonstration that the ordinary struggles of life can be met with extraordinary resolve. The contagion of courage is amplified by empathy. When you rise, you lift others with you, even if you do not intend to. Your actions tell them a story without words, that fear can be faced, that excuses can be overcome, and that life can be lived with dignity, strength, and determination. Each person who sees this light begins to carry it themselves, creating a chain of inspiration that stretches far beyond what you can measure. Courage spreads because it is visible, tangible, and contagious. It moves through hearts and minds like fire through dry grass, unstoppable and transformative. So understand that your journey, your choice to act despite fear, your refusal to let excuses dominate your life, is never in isolation. It reaches farther than you know, encouraging, guiding, and awakening others. Every step you take toward bravery is a step that lights the path for someone else, showing them that their own fears can be faced and overcome. Courage is not only the triumph of the self, it is the gift we offer to the world, an enduring reminder that when one heart dares, countless others find the strength to follow. By rising above your excuses, you do more than survive. You lead, inspire, and transform, leaving a legacy of courage that echoes long after the moment has passed. Motivation is a fickle companion. It arrives with the sunrise, lifting your spirit and filling your chest with hope, but it can vanish just as quickly, leaving you alone with the weight of your own expectations. If we wait for motivation alone to carry us, we will often find ourselves standing still, watching opportunity pass by. True strength, true transformation, does not rely on fleeting feelings. It relies on consistency. It relies on showing up day after day, whether you feel like it or not, whether the world cheers or remains silent. Consistency is the quiet engine that drives achievement, the steady hand that shapes greatness even when the heart wavers. To show up consistently is to honor yourself in the deepest way. It is a declaration that your dreams, your growth, and your potential matter more than temporary discomfort, doubt, or distraction. It is easy to feel defeated when inspiration is absent, when every fiber of your being resists effort, but it is precisely in those moments that consistency reveals its power. Each small action, repeated faithfully, becomes a thread in the tapestry of your success. Each day you rise, even when motivation is hiding, you are building momentum that no fleeting feeling can undo. Strength is born in repetition, resilience in persistence, and courage in the commitment to continue. Consistency is not perfection. It is not about flawless execution or uninterrupted progress. It is about returning again and again, even when the path is steep, the results slow, and the world offers no immediate reward. It is about creating habits that support your growth, about choosing discipline over convenience, and about trusting the process even when the outcome is unseen. Inspiration may come and go, but the steady rhythm of consistent effort becomes unstoppable. It transforms ordinary actions into extraordinary results, and it teaches the soul that true power lies in endurance rather than emotion. When we commit to showing up, even in the absence of motivation, we strengthen more than our skills or knowledge. We strengthen our character. We prove to ourselves that we are reliable, that our word to ourselves carries weight, and that we are capable of weathering challenges without depending on external encouragement. Consistency builds confidence, cultivates self-respect, and creates a foundation upon which dreams can be realized. The person who shows up daily, who pushes forward even when tired, discouraged, or uncertain, becomes unstoppable, not because they are always inspired, but because they have trained themselves to act regardless of fleeting emotions. So, understand that the heart's fleeting enthusiasm is not the measure of your potential. What matters is your presence, your commitment, and your refusal to surrender to irregularity. Each small act of consistency compounds, creating a force that outlasts temporary feelings of doubt or fatigue. Every day you show up, even when it is hard, even when the spark of motivation is dim, you are forging strength, resilience, and unstoppable momentum. Consistency beats inspiration because it does not wait for circumstances to align. It creates alignment within, proving that your dreams, your growth, and your courage are not subject to the whims of fleeting feelings. By showing up faithfully for yourself, you honor the life you are building and step steadily into the greatness you were always meant to claim. Discipline is often misunderstood as a cage, a set of restrictions designed to limit our choices, but the truth is far richer. Discipline is freedom. It is the key that unlocks the doors we believe are locked, the quiet power that allows us to move through life with purpose and confidence. When we honor our commitments, not just to others but to ourselves, we cultivate an inner voice that is steady, clear, and unwavering. That voice becomes our compass, guiding us through uncertainty, reminding us of what we are capable of, and grounding us in the knowledge that we have the strength to act with integrity even when the world around us wavers. Every act of discipline begins with a choice, often small, seemingly insignificant, but infinitely meaningful. Choosing to rise early, to focus when distractions beckon, to keep promises made to ourselves even when excuses whisper, is the soil in which freedom grows. It is not in ignoring our desires or bending to some external standard, but in aligning our actions with our values that we discover true autonomy. Each commitment we honor strengthens the connection between intention and action, transforming what might feel like restriction into a profound sense of empowerment. We begin to see that the chains we imagined around ourselves were never real. They were only illusions, and discipline is the key that frees us from them. Discipline is a teacher of the soul. It shows us that freedom is not the absence of responsibility, but the mastery of it. When we consistently honor our commitments, our inner voice becomes confident and trustworthy. We no longer stumble in self-doubt, nor do we allow fleeting impulses to dictate the direction of our lives. That voice whispers truth, reminding us of our goals, our values, and the strength that lies within our choices. In moments of uncertainty, when fear tempts us to quit or compromise, it is discipline that anchors us. It reminds us that freedom is not a gift bestowed by circumstances, but a life we create through our steadfast adherence to what we know is right and necessary. The paradox of discipline is that by setting boundaries, we expand our possibilities. By dedicating ourselves to consistent practice, whether in work, relationships, or personal growth, we build a life that allows for exploration, creativity, and genuine joy. Without discipline, our potential is scattered, wasted on indecision and fleeting desire. With it, we discover a clarity of purpose, a resilience that shields us from chaos, and the ability to pursue our dreams with deliberate and sustained effort. Freedom is not found in endless choice, but in the mastery of choice, the ability to act intentionally and to honor the commitments that define who we are. Ultimately, discipline is not punishment, it is liberation. Each time we rise, act, and fulfill a promise to ourselves, we strengthen the inner voice that guides our life. That voice grows in confidence, clarity, and power, enabling us to face challenges, resist temptation, and pursue what matters most with courage. In honoring our commitments, we do not limit ourselves, we free ourselves. We cultivate a life of purpose, resilience, and authenticity, discovering that true freedom is not the absence of structure, but the presence of a disciplined heart, one that has learned to rise, endure, and thrive no matter what life may bring.